Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're seeing PlayStation and Sony going through the ringer right now, where a lot of things are not going good with PlayStation, especially as of this past week. Everyone is basically getting really worried. Right now, PlayStation as a whole is not really sure what's going on for the future, and right now, a lot of really big media outlets are now noticing and kind of calling out PlayStation on their, well, somewhat start of their demise. Now, as we probably know, the PlayStation's been the market leader, has been getting a lot of sales, and everything's been going very good with it, at least in my opinion. And I think a lot of other analysts, financial analysts, people buying the consoles, video gamers, or whatever it might be, would probably go and agree. But now, we're kind of seeing like we're seeing the flip of the switch where the PlayStation's kind of going downhill, and right now the stock is going horribly, and it's even worse from before. We did make a little bit of a passing video a few days ago, but it seems like right now PlayStation starts to look like it's getting into a little bit of trouble as of right this second. So we're going to go talk about this, talk about the drama, and kind of go a little bit more in depth too as well, because this is getting kind of gone one from bad to worse, and even the bounce back on the stock is not even doing so hot as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We'll get the Twitter and Twitch room down below. We'll also have the Weeble too as well if you guys would like to go and sign up for that. Get a bunch of free stock. You sign up, withdraw, any of that type of stuff. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Let's go and dive on into the video itself. So we kind of made a video on this a few days ago where PlayStation had a little bit of a struggle. But to kind of give you guys the really quick initial highlights over here, it has gone worse. Now, we're looking at the past 1 month chart over here, and like we had, the occasional almost $100 run, a little bit of a dip down, but this was more of a general market activity. And ever since we had this was a really bad stock moment, basically they said that we're kind of in the more tail end of the PlayStation. No future games are kind of coming out for the 2024. This year might be a little bit more on the barren side for PlayStation. You might still get some more surprises and such. They did do a very peculiar wording of no, basically well-known IPs are coming out, so we might have some secret IPs coming out. We have not sure, but basically they're saying that then the rest of 2024 was going to be very well chill. And we made that video when we had this huge stock drop right here, and well, things are now even still progressively getting worse and worse. Now, this may not be the biggest deal when it comes to most general things, but when it comes to this, billions of dollars have been wiped out on the market itself. There has been a lot of money lost in the PlayStation and Sony group, and a lot of people are kind of curious about the future of the PlayStation console as a whole, especially with the end of this entire year, with very minimal games coming out. The Switch 2 as well, that will probably go and take the reign over the PlayStation console itself for kind of the market leader, probably just in terms of overall sales, not necessarily maybe like what people prefer. I do think a lot of people still like their PlayStations for their exclusives, but everything is just going bad. This is there wasn't even really a big bounce back, and there usually is at least somewhat of a dead cat bounce, and this has kind of just been going rough. Now, I still do think it will stabilize. I do think the stock itself will be pretty chill, but as of right this second, it does seem rough. This is looking bad, to the point where even things like, say, CNBC are trying to go and talk about this, where Sony plunged $10 billion after its PS5 sales cut, but a bigger issue is its near decade low games margin. Now, we kind of talked about this a few days ago and I had this very similar video, but it seems like people are noticing this now, and that's kind of when things get a little bit rough. When even big financial things, or the Yahoo News, or Ayo, Sony's losing a lot of money and no one really knows why. Microsoft and Nintendo are kind of holding up okay, but what's up with this? And well, it's just been rough. A lot of folks are just not expecting as much as we would get, just happy. So around $10 billion of value was wiped off Sony stock this week after it cut its sales forecast for its flagship PlayStation 5 console for this year. And as well, but analysts who already thought that Sony's PS5 target was a little bit too lofty, I would still agree on that too as well, where I was like, you guys want to keep on ramping up 2, 3, 4, 5 million consoles, let alone just by making the consoles. That's a big deal. That's hard. I mean, it's just a lot of production, but as well, you also have to get the people who want to buy the consoles too. And there's no major big games out, who's going to want to buy it? So basically told CNBC a bigger issue for the Japanese tech giant is that the company's declining margins on all the key gaming businesses. And then analysts are questioning why Sony's gaming margin is not higher despite higher margin products like digital sales of games and its PS Plus subscription service. So basically now people are like, hey. It's okay if you, don't think you're going to sell as many PlayStation consoles, that's fine. But why is everything else doing rough? The PlayStation Plus sales. How come the margins aren't looking insane? You rose the prices, you have these 3 options. Are people not really utilizing the bigger tiers? And then people are kind of calling it out. They're like, hey, I want to invest in your stock in your company, but why is it not good? And then part 2 of this is kind of hey, all the other various things. like, what about the sales? Like, are you just gonna not have new games? Like, what's up with 2024? Like, are you not getting good sales in God of War or Spider-Man anymore? Like, what's up with it? And people are calling out. So around $10 billion of value was wiped off of Sony stock last week after the Japanese tech giant cut its sales forecast for its flagship PlayStation 5 console for the fiscal year. Analysts who already thought Sony's PS5 target was too lofty told CNBC a bigger issue for the company are its declining margins in its key gaming business. And this kind of going on a separate vibe to what we were talking about before, where Sony this week announced it now expects to sell 21 million units of the PS5 in the fiscal year ending in March, compared with the previous forecast of 25. So 4 million dropped down. The company's shares fell obviously after them saying like, hey, we're not gonna make as much money, with around though $10 billion of value wiped off the stock since the forecast cut, according to a CNBC calculation using FactSet data. But analysts were also looking at other key metrics, which we never kind of talked about in other videos, talk about the operating margin of the gaming business, which actually just came in under 6% for the December quarter, and according to a CNBC calculation. So by contrast, Sony's operating margin was more than 9% in the December quarter of 2022. So basically, they've lost that overall operating margin, and that's a big thing. That's basically like how much money they have a chance to like utilize, like the loosey-goosey, the money they're making kind of. And it seems like these numbers are actually going down. So the shipment forecast for the PS5 is not what was disappointing. What is disappointing is the low level of operating margin. Basically just saying like, yeah, they can sell consoles, but they're not really making money on the consoles. Like they'll get the install base, sure, but you need to go have like fun PlayStation games and exclusives that people want to buy, like software, for them to enjoy the game, like to enjoy their consoles, to want to buy consoles, to incentivize sales on consoles, or have people maintain their PlayStation Plus subscriptions. And I'll be honest right this second, I don't have my PS Plus subscription. I'll be honest with you guys. Like right now I have Game Pass. Don't mind the sneezing. That's how disappointed I am in PlayStation right there. But basically for this one, right now I have Game Pass. I'll probably end up canceling Game Pass soon. I enjoyed my Pal World. I'm kind of vibing on that stuff. It's fine. Like, we're chilling. But right now, the second, I don't have anything. I don't have a Nintendo account. I don't have a PlayStation account. I just don't need it. Like, I'm playing PC games right this second. And at the same time, I'm sure a lot of folks also were canceling and have been canceling as their PS Plus numbers have been waning off. And that means they're making less money. Maybe it costs more money with data centers or game exclusives. And as well, if you're not really making as much money from like big software sales like Spider-Man, you're not going to be making money overall, like at all. It makes it a little harder. He also said and added that prior to the January to March quarter of 2022, margins at the gaming unit were also around 12 to 13% of in the previous 4 years. So really good margins, especially during the pandemic time. They were making good money, games are chilling, and everything was nice. But right now, the latest quarter single-digit margin for Sony is present, despite various tailwinds that should have driven the margins upwards to 20%, which means that they'd have things like the PS Plus price points going up. That probably would have made everything like make more money. You keep around or roughly around the same amount of subscribers, like at say Netflix, you would make more money. Or same thing with game sales, like you'd make they're be making more money. Bigger and better install base, you'd make more money. And a lot of people are saying it's extremely disappointing on the future PlayStation. Like they literally said, quote unquote, extremely disappointing. These tailwinds include sales of its first-party games, which are increasingly in the form of digital downloads, in addition to its high-margin PS Plus subscription service, which commands around 50% margins according to Goyle. So you would be thinking they'd be making a lot of money because they rose the prices on these. Saying their revenue on digital sales, add-on content, digital downloads are at all-time highs, and yet their margins are at a decade low. This is just not acceptable. In their email, they said to CNBC. Goyle qualified that the current margin for Sony's gaming business is almost at near decade lows, which kind of goes to show that they have the console sales. Like they have people buying PlayStation consoles, which is good. But at the same time, they're not making money on it. Like I'm not sure if it's a lost leader. I'm not sure they're just trying to make sure they get their consoles out there and trying to beat Xbox. But Xbox seems to have a more profitable run-through, which kind of means long-term, Xbox may, quote-unquote, lose the console wars, but they're going to go and keep their business afloat because they're changing with the times. They're getting with digital downloads and Game Pass and subscription services. And while PlayStation's doing well, we've also seen a lot of other big game companies losing a lot of money. And this actually might be a good separate video topic too, where a lot of video games are just too much money. Like a lot of these games will not make their money back. We actually saw a lot of really big games that have basically just died out really quickly. And I think a lot of people know why. It costs too much money and the game is mediocre, so it's not worth the money they're trying to go and cost. And some people may be preferring these like cheaper games as well, which might be a separate video. But they're saying, hey, this is like all around big time lows. So Saran Toto, the CEO and founder of Tokyo-based games consultancy Kantan Games, said he believed hardware production costs have actually come down since the PS5 is more than 3 years old, and Sony would have a better economics of scale by this time. saying we don't necessarily know why these margins are being squeezed and why they're doing so rough. Although they are saying that, say, games like Insomniac Games did cost around $300 million to make, and according to gaming website Kotaku, sending an internal presentation that was leaked after a ransomware company hacked the company, and it seems like maybe the budgets are overblown, or they're maybe spending just too much money on games, making games, and they have to go and be like a Hail Mary sales, which they do get the sales, but it's still scary, and they're not maybe making money on other outside things, such as PlayStation Plus. So right now, PlayStation's in a really rough spot, and then people are trying to go and kind of somewhat start selling the stock because they just don't really believe in it as of the second. So I want to hear your thoughts because it does seem like PlayStation's in trouble as of right now. Let's make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. Give me your thoughts and comments down below. We have the Twitter and Twitch, and you guys would like to go and follow and sign up for that. We will get a bunch of free stock and money, and I appreciate y'all for watching here in the first place.